Have you ever noticed something about an elderly loved one that just didn't feel quite right? Maybe it was a small change in their behavior, a shift in their routine, or even something as simple as the way they've been eating or moving around. At first, it might have seemed insignificant, like no big deal, just a little quirk of aging, right? But as time went on, you started to wonder, is this really just part of getting older, or is there something deeper going on here? Let me tell you, you're not alone. So many of us have witnessed these subtle changes, and far too often, we dismiss them as just getting old. But what if I told you that those little signs, those things you've brushed off, could be silent clues that are leading to bigger health concerns or emotional struggles? You see, many people, especially those we love, quietly make mistakes in their old age that not only hurt their happiness, but also their health. And here's the thing, recognizing these signs early can make all the difference. It can change everything for them, ensuring their final years are filled with comfort, love, and dignity. Because when we overlook the small stuff, it's easy for it to snowball into something much harder to fix. But if you catch it early, if you understand the mistakes, you can step in and help them regain some of that joy and well-being. You can make their journey into old age smoother, more fulfilling, and, most importantly, healthier. Now, I know this might sound like a lot to take in. But don't worry. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what these 7 silent mistakes are. You'll learn how many of us unknowingly make them, and more importantly, you'll discover how to prevent them from stealing the happiness and health of your elderly loved ones. This is the kind of stuff that can change everything for them. So, stick with me until the end, because this information could be the key to making their final years the best they've ever had. And hey, if you find this video helpful, make sure to comment "I'm here" down below. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button so you can keep getting tips and insights on how to care for your loved ones as they grow older. Let's dive in. Imagine this, your grandfather, the man who once had a sharp memory, could recall every story, every detail of his childhood, and even the names of people he met decades ago. But lately, he started to forget small things, where he put his glasses, the name of the neighbor he's known for years, maybe even his favorite TV show. You might brush it off and think, oh, that's just part of getting older, right? It's not that big of a deal. But what if it's more than that? What if these little moments of forgetfulness are trying to tell you something? You see, cognitive decline, including memory loss, is a common part of aging, yes. But it can also signal something much more serious, like depression or early signs of dementia. The thing is, our elderly loved ones can go through so much mentally, and they don't always speak up about it. They might feel embarrassed, or maybe they don't even realize what's happening themselves. So it's up to us to recognize when these changes are more than just a normal part of aging. But here's the catch, many families think these mental health changes are just the natural progression of getting older. They assume it's just part of life. They might say, oh, everyone forgets things sometimes, or my mom always had a busy mind, so maybe she's just slowing down. And by the time they realize it's something more serious, the problem has often worsened. The truth is, mental health is just as important as physical health, but it's often brushed aside in older adults. Depression can manifest in ways we don't immediately recognize, and cognitive decline doesn't always come with clear warning signs. It's easy to overlook these early changes, but the earlier you catch them, the better the chance of slowing or even reversing some of these effects. So, what can we do? First, talk openly with your loved ones about mental health. It's not just about memory loss or confusion. It's about the emotional shifts that come with aging. Ask them how they're feeling, if they're experiencing any sadness or anxiety. Encourage them to engage in activities that stimulate their mind, things like puzzles, reading, or even learning new skills. These little exercises can do wonders to keep the brain sharp. And if you notice signs of depression or other serious issues, don't hesitate to seek professional help. A healthcare provider can guide you on the next steps and recommend therapies or treatments that can make a big difference. But mental health isn't the only thing we should be focusing on. There's another major mistake that so many of us overlook when it comes to our elderly loved ones: neglecting physical activity. Let's talk about that next. Think about this for a second. Your mom, who used to love her daily walks around the neighborhood, is now saying she's too tired to get out there. She tells you it's just too much effort, that she'll go tomorrow, but tomorrow never seems to come. At first, you might think, oh, she's just being lazy. It's probably nothing. But what if it's more than that? What if there's something deeper going on? The thing is, as we age, our bodies change in ways we don't always expect. Physical activity becomes more important, not less. When our elderly loved ones stop moving, it's not just about them getting tired or choosing to rest. Over time, the lack of movement leads to muscle loss, which in turn leads to decreased mobility, balance issues, and an overall decline in health. Imagine not being able to walk around without feeling pain, or even worse, not being able to get up from a chair without help. It's not just about staying active. It's about keeping the body functioning at its best. Now, there's a huge misconception that many people have when it comes to elderly care. A lot of families believe that older people should avoid physical activity because it might be too risky for them. They think that the safer route is to let them rest and stay sedentary, hoping it will keep them from injuring themselves. But here's the thing, that lack of movement actually speeds up the decline of their health. It's a vicious cycle. When they stop moving, their muscles weaken, their bones become more brittle, and their heart and lungs get less efficient. The risks of falls, fractures, and even heart disease increase. It's a slippery slope that can be avoided if we encourage them to stay active, even in small ways. But that doesn't mean they need to run marathons or even go for long walks every day. Low-impact exercises, like stretching, simple yoga, or even walking around the house for a few minutes, can make a world of difference. It's all about keeping the body engaged, maintaining flexibility, and preventing that stiff, I can't move feeling that comes from too much inactivity. Even just a few minutes of movement each day can help them feel stronger, more confident, and less dependent on others. And if they're not able to walk on their own, try chair exercises or any activity that gets the blood flowing without straining their joints. It's important to remind them that staying active doesn't have to be exhausting or intense. It can be as simple as moving around the house or taking short breaks to stand and stretch. Small steps, like getting up from a chair every so often, can prevent the body from becoming too stiff and will help keep their spirits lifted. Now, while physical activity is crucial, there's something else that's just as important when it comes to their overall health: paying attention to diet and nutrition. Let's dive into that next. Think about your aunt for a moment. She used to love cooking her own meals. She'd spend hours in the kitchen, whipping up everything from hearty stews to fresh salads. It was a passion for her, and she took pride in the meals she prepared. But now, you notice that she's living off processed foods, things like microwave dinners or pre-packaged snacks. You might think, well, it's just easier for her. She's getting older, after all. But the question is, how is this really affecting her health? You see, as we get older, our nutritional needs change. We may not absorb nutrients the same way we once did, and we may need more of certain vitamins, minerals, and proteins to keep our bodies functioning properly. When those needs aren't met, it can lead to serious health problems, like a weakened immune system, poor bone health, and constant fatigue. And that's just the beginning. Without the right nutrition, it becomes much harder to fight off illness, and the risk of chronic conditions like diabetes or heart disease increases. But here's where it gets tricky. Many families think that when someone gets older, they can eat whatever they want. They figure, well, they've lived their life, so why not let them enjoy whatever they want now? But this mindset is dangerous. Yes, they've earned the right to indulge, but this approach can lead to a decline in their overall health. Just because they're older doesn't mean their body doesn't need proper fuel. In fact, it needs it more than ever. Imagine running a car on cheap fuel. It's going to break down faster, right? The same goes for the human body. So, what can we do to help? First, we need to make sure they're getting balanced meals, things that are rich in protein, vitamins, and minerals. But it doesn't have to be complicated. Simple meals like grilled chicken with vegetables, a small bowl of soup, or a hearty salad can make all the difference. And don't forget hydration. Dehydration is one of the most common issues among elderly people, and it can cause confusion, fatigue, and even more serious complications. Another helpful approach is to offer smaller, more frequent meals throughout the day. Instead of expecting them to eat large meals, which can be overwhelming, try offering nutritious snacks like yogurt, fruit, or a handful of nuts. These small meals will give them the energy they need without making them feel stuffed or sluggish. Keep it simple, but make it nutritious. The goal is to help them fuel their body in a way that keeps them strong, healthy, and energized. Because good nutrition isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving, especially in those later years. Now, speaking of thriving, another huge mistake that often gets overlooked is the way we approach social interactions and isolation. Let's talk about that next. Think about your father for a moment. He used to be the life of the party, the one cracking jokes, telling stories, and always ready to host a family gathering. But now, you notice something's different. He's staying in his room more often, avoiding family dinners, and you start to wonder, is he just tired? Is it just a phase? But what if there's something more going on beneath the surface? What if this is actually a sign of something much more serious? Social isolation is a silent killer, especially for older adults. It may start out as a choice to stay in or rest, but over time, it can lead to profound issues like depression, loneliness, and even cognitive decline. The longer someone isolates themselves, the more they can spiral into feelings of sadness or even despair. And while you might think your loved one is just preferring to be alone, the truth is that human connection is essential to their well-being, now more than ever. You see, staying socially active is critical for elderly people, not just for their emotional health, but for their physical health, too. Interaction with others helps keep their minds sharp, boosts their mood, and can even improve their overall physical health. On the flip side, when elderly individuals spend too much time alone, their cognitive abilities can deteriorate faster, and their emotional state can suffer. It's easy for them to start feeling like they're no longer needed, like they're just an extra piece in the family puzzle that doesn't quite fit anymore. The misconception here is that many families think elderly loved ones are fine on their own or even prefer solitude. They may think, they've lived their life, and now they just want peace and quiet. While that might be true at times, it's crucial to remember that isolation isn't always a choice. It's often a sign that they're struggling in ways that aren't immediately obvious. So, while they may say they're fine staying home or not joining social events, that doesn't mean they should be left alone to their own devices. What can we do to help? It's important to encourage regular family visits, even if it's just to chat or watch TV together. Something as simple as playing a card game, talking about old memories, or just sharing a meal can make a huge difference. If they're not able to get out and about, try getting them involved in community group activities that cater to their interests. There are senior centers, social clubs, and even online platforms that offer virtual social activities. These can keep them connected with people and provide the interaction they need to feel engaged. The key is to keep them involved in life, to keep those connections alive, even when they might not realize how much they need it. And remember, loneliness is a huge burden on the elderly. It can lead to physical health problems, including a weakened immune system, higher blood pressure, and even a shorter lifespan. So, making sure they stay socially engaged is just as important as any other aspect of their care. Now, let's move on to another mistake that often goes unnoticed: financial mismanagement and the impact it has on older adults. Let's dive into that. Imagine your grandmother, an incredibly independent woman who's always handled her own affairs. She's managed her finances, paid the bills on time, and kept track of her own spending. But now, something's changing. You start to notice that she's struggling with her finances, forgetting to pay bills, not remembering where she put important papers, and even mixing up monthly expenses. At first, you might think, it's just a slip-up, it's probably nothing. But what if this is a sign of something deeper? It's more common than you think, and this type of financial mismanagement can lead to a huge amount of unnecessary stress, both for your loved one and for the whole family. As we age, it's not just our physical health that starts to decline. Our cognitive abilities can begin to fade, too, things like memory, decision-making, and problem-solving skills. And when that happens, something as simple as managing money becomes much harder. Your loved one might forget to pay bills, mix up due dates, or overspend in areas that weren't an issue before. This is not just about forgetting to pay a credit card, it's about the stress that builds up when finances get out of control, leading to anxiety and even feelings of helplessness. Now, here's where many families make a mistake. They assume that their elderly loved ones are still perfectly capable of managing their finances just as they did before. She's always been so sharp, they think. She'll figure it out. But without proper planning, this can lead to serious consequences. Without help, those financial slip-ups can snowball into bigger issues like unpaid medical bills, accumulating debt, or even financial scams that target vulnerable seniors. So, what can we do to help prevent this? One of the first steps is setting up an automatic payment system. By automating regular bills like utilities, mortgages, and credit cards, you can take the burden of remembering those due dates off their shoulders. It's a simple, stress-free way to ensure that things are getting paid on time, without the risk of forgetting. Another helpful step is to assist with budgeting. Take the time to sit down with them and review their monthly expenses. Show them how to create a budget that works, and help them stick to it. This not only reduces financial stress but also gives them a sense of control over their money. And if their financial situation feels overwhelming, don't hesitate to consult a financial advisor who specializes in elder care. These professionals can help with everything from managing savings to navigating retirement plans or even setting up a trust. They're there to provide guidance and ensure your loved one's financial future is secure. This is one mistake that can be easily prevented, but it takes awareness and action. Helping them with their finances doesn't mean taking away their independence, it means providing the support they need to maintain control over their lives while keeping the stress at bay. Speaking of stress, there's another mistake that often gets overlooked, and that's the importance of sleep for older adults. Let's talk about that next. Think about your uncle for a moment. He used to sleep like a rock, no problem at all. He'd fall asleep the moment his head hit the pillow and wake up feeling rested, ready to take on the day. But recently, something's changed. Now, you find him pacing around the house late at night, looking restless, or even sitting in a chair in the middle of the night staring at the clock. It seems like he's just not able to fall asleep, and when he does, it's never for long. You might think, well, maybe it's just part of getting older. But what if it's more than that? What if there's a deeper issue that's affecting his sleep? The truth is, sleep patterns do change as we age. It's a natural part of the aging process. But that doesn't mean we should ignore the changes. Poor sleep can have a significant impact on overall health, affecting everything from memory and mood to physical well-being. When older adults don't get enough restful sleep, it can lead to serious issues like increased risk for heart disease, depression, and even cognitive decline. Lack of sleep can also lead to poor decision-making, which can be dangerous when it comes to managing daily activities or even driving. A common mistake many families make is assuming that sleep problems are just a normal part of aging. He's getting older, so of course he's not sleeping well, they think. But chronic sleep deprivation is not something to dismiss. When your loved one isn't sleeping properly, it's not just an inconvenience, it's a red flag that something could be wrong. It could be caused by underlying health conditions, medication side effects, or even something as simple as an unhealthy bedtime routine. So, how can we help them get the rest they need? First, consider creating a calm and relaxing bedtime routine. Encourage them to wind down at least an hour before bed, no loud TV shows or stressful phone calls. A warm bath, soft music, or even some light reading can help signal to the body that it's time to relax and prepare for sleep. Also, it's important to limit caffeine intake, especially in the afternoon and evening, since caffeine can stay in the system for hours and interfere with sleep quality. Another key solution is encouraging regular sleep hours. Help them establish a consistent bedtime and wake-up time, even on weekends. Keeping a routine will regulate their body's internal clock, making it easier for them to fall asleep and wake up feeling refreshed. This might take some time to adjust to, but once it becomes a habit, it can work wonders for their overall health. We can't afford to ignore sleep problems in the elderly. A good night's rest is essential for their physical and mental health, and when they get the sleep they need, it helps keep their bodies functioning at their best. Lastly, let's talk about one final, yet often overlooked mistake: ignoring regular medical checkups. Let's dive into that next. Think about your mother for a moment. She's always been on top of things, making sure to go for her yearly checkups without hesitation. It was just part of her routine. She'd get her blood work done, check in with the doctor, and always kept her health in check. But lately, she's been skipping those appointments, saying, "I feel fine. Why do I need to go to the doctor?" At first, you might think, well, if she's feeling okay, then maybe there's nothing to worry about. But could there be something hiding beneath the surface that she's not noticing? Could it be that something serious is slipping through the cracks because she's not getting checked out regularly? The reality is that as we age, our bodies change in ways that aren't always obvious. We might feel fine on the outside, but internally, there could be issues brewing that are easy to overlook. That's why regular medical checkups are absolutely essential. They're not just for when you're feeling sick, they're for catching potential health problems before they become bigger issues. Heart disease, diabetes, even cancer, these conditions often don't show clear symptoms until they've progressed. Early detection is the key to treatment and better outcomes. But here's the common mistake many families make: they assume that if their elderly loved one isn't complaining, then everything must be fine. She says she feels fine, so there's no need to go to the doctor, they think. But that's a dangerous mindset to have. Just because someone doesn't have any obvious symptoms doesn't mean there isn't an underlying issue. In fact, many elderly people tend to downplay their health problems or ignore them altogether, either out of fear, pride, or simply not wanting to be a burden. This is where we come in, to make sure they don't slip through the cracks and that their health stays on track. So, what can you do? Encourage your loved one to attend their annual checkups, even if they're feeling okay. Remind them that these checkups aren't just about addressing problems, they're about preventing them from becoming bigger, more difficult issues. And if they've been putting off appointments, help them schedule them. Offer to go with them to the doctor's office if they're nervous or unsure, and make it a point to stay on top of their medical needs. You don't have to be their doctor, but you can help ensure they stay on top of their health. Preventive care is a powerful tool in maintaining long-term health, and it's one of the most important gifts you can give your elderly loved one. It might seem like a small thing, but regular checkups could be the difference between catching a problem early and dealing with a major health crisis later. With these 7 common mistakes in mind, we can see how simple changes, awareness, and a little extra care can significantly improve the quality of life for our elderly loved ones. Taking the time to recognize and address these issues now can make all the difference in their well-being. Don't let these mistakes go unnoticed. By being proactive, you can help ensure they live their final years with comfort, health, and happiness. It's hard, isn't it? Watching a loved one grow older, noticing those little changes that seem to happen too quickly. It's heartbreaking to see someone you care about struggle with things that they once did so easily. Maybe it's the way they move, the way they speak, or the way they've started to retreat into themselves, refusing to ask for help. It's difficult to accept that they're not the same person they used to be, that they're facing challenges that are out of their control. But here's the truth: recognizing these silent mistakes early gives you the power to offer the best care you possibly can. You might feel overwhelmed by what's ahead. It's natural to feel that way. But instead of approaching this from a place of fear or helplessness, I want you to see it differently. By being aware of these common mistakes and the signs that come with them, you're equipped with the knowledge to act. You're not powerless. In fact, you're in a position to make a difference. This is about preparation, not just reaction. You have the tools you need to be proactive, to offer support and care in a way that truly makes their later years peaceful, fulfilling, and as comfortable as possible. Take a moment to think about that. Instead of waiting for things to get worse, you can step in right now. If you've noticed any of the signs we've discussed today, whether it's a change in their mental health, their physical activity, or their social habits, take the opportunity to check in with them. Offer your support. Sometimes it's a simple phone call, or sitting down together for a meal, or just asking how they're really doing. These small gestures make a world of difference. Your attention, your love, your care, it all adds up. Caring for someone in their final years is one of the most challenging yet rewarding things you can do. It takes patience, it takes empathy, and it takes awareness. But here's the good news: you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to navigate these challenges by yourself. With love, a little preparation, and the right tools, you can make their journey more meaningful and ensure they live out their years in comfort and dignity. You've got this. With every step you take, every decision you make, you're giving them the best gift of all: your time, your care, and your commitment to their well-being. Let that be the foundation for everything moving forward. Remember, the journey may be tough at times, but with your support and understanding, their golden years can truly shine. And together, we can make the most of every moment. To recap, the 7 silent mistakes we've covered today are: neglecting mental health, avoiding physical activity, poor diet choices, social isolation, financial mismanagement, poor sleep habits, and ignoring regular medical checkups. Each of these mistakes can silently chip away at the quality of life for our elderly loved ones, but by recognizing them early, you can help prevent much larger issues down the road. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these mistakes have you noticed in your loved ones? Has there been a moment where you've seen a change and wondered if it was more serious? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your experiences. Maybe your story will help someone else recognize something in their own loved one, and together, we can create a community of care, support, and awareness. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing to Elder Mature Moments for more tips, insights, and practical advice on elderly care and family health. We're all in this together, and we want to keep helping you provide the best care possible for your loved ones. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, stay informed, and remember, your love and attention make all the difference. I'll see you in the next video.